I'm Ricky Starks. You come into my home, and there's going to be that level of respect for each of us. But yeah, I'm not about to lower myself, or some guys are like very, very timid when it comes to certain people coming in. I don't care about
that. Welcome to WatchMojo's Poppin' the Culture, your weekly entertainment fix. Me? Well, I'm your host, Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. And today, well, I've got an exclusive interview with All Elite Wrestling's absolute Ricky Starks. Do not want to miss it. But first, let's check out those Hollywood headlines. All right, this is the part of the show where we like to dig a little deeper into some of the more interesting developments out there in La La Land. And today, to help me break it down, well, I got two people from WatchMojo. Rebecca, the WatchMojo lady. Rebecca, how are you?
I am well, thanks. I am hot. There's no AC in this room, as is the case when you shoot things with microphones and audio. So I am good.
Well, welcome back to the show. And I want to welcome a first-timer. Ty is here with us from Gainesville, Florida. Ty, how are you?
I'm doing great in my nice chilly apartment at 74 degrees Fahrenheit. And trying to make sure that my stomach is still full from lunch. So
yeah, my AC is working really well as well. So I feel comfortable. I'm wearing a hoodie for crying out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
I almost wish it was hotter, like just so I can tug on the collar.
This is going to be the vibe of the show. I feel like.
I think so.
This is the kind of relationship Ty and I have.
And that's fine by me. Hey, listen, I want to see if you guys agree on some of the topics that we're going to talk about.
There's a 0% chance we do.
Hey, well, the gloves
very slim chance.
The gloves are off in Hollywood for some of these studios and actors because lawsuits are they're falling from the sky, folks. Let's talk about the big one. This one's between Scarlett Johansson and Disney, which is the parent company of Marvel Studios. The crux of it is that Johansson's saying that they breached her contract, that she was expecting this to be a wide release in theaters only. If anyone knows anything about these big actors and these big time movies, there's lots of incentives. The better a movie does, the more money they get. So we're not talking a little bit of extra money. We're talking upwards of $50 million. Disney saying, we respected your contract. We have this simultaneously on Disney for the premium video on demand. But they've come out swinging too, and they've actually attacked Scarlett Johansson's character. I mean, that's just a little taste of it. But I want to know what you guys think. Ty, start with you. Who you got?
I'm on Scarlett Johansson's side, and it's got nothing to do about the money. Like, I understand why people might be against her of like, oh, she's already super rich. Why does she need more money, right? Which it's like, okay, whatever. But I'm somebody who values the word more, and from where I'm seeing it, Disney kind of like
while they might not have broken the contract based on what was written, they definitely broke the spirit of the contract.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
It just comes off like, like you knew this was something that you probably shouldn't have done. Like, you shouldn't have hit it. And that's what it comes off like.
Rebecca,
like go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Rebecca, do you think this hurts Scarlett Johansson? Is now she difficult to work with? Is this going to hurt her in the long run?
It's a good question. I guess it depends where we're at on sexism in Hollywood these days, because like 10 years ago, definitely she would have just been like completely canceled and nobody would have wanted to hire her. I think we've come possibly far enough, and Scarlett Johansson is high profile enough that she might be the appropriate person to fight this fight, which is probably why she is doing it. Because if she doesn't do it, then nobody's going to be able to do it, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the other point, that there's huge implications, I think. A lot of people are watching this to see how it works out because, listen, the traditional way these contracts are done, and even I'm not privy to all the little details here, but the the traditional way it's done is changing, folks. With the pandemic that's going on, and so much is going to video on demand. The theatrical release period is shortening before it can end up on your TV screens. So I don't know, Ty, what do you think? Is this as important as I think it is?
I think it is, just because it's like it kind of makes me wonder, how many stars also got screwed over in this way, where it's like, oh, the wording in the contract, like they point out several times anytime somebody talks about this lawsuit, they point out, like, they said, oh, Scarlett Johansson's pay was going to be based on box office numbers. Well, usually box office refers to the theaters themselves. It doesn't refer to streaming services, which Disney is really overcharging on their movies, the $30 a month, or not $30 a month, but the $30 just to see the movie, right?
I have a question. Did either of you see Black Widow in the theater?
No. My roommate did. She said it's amazing, but
it's really good. But anyway, but that's the thing. Like, that's 1/3, anecdotally. Yeah. And would you have in regular times?
Ty,
would I have what?
Seen it in the theater?
Yeah, like I would have seen it. Like, I know I don't see Marvel movies anymore. That's just my personal thing. But if this had come out even like when I was in high school, I would totally go see it.
Yeah, I think movies like this, Rebecca, I want to see in theaters. Like, I don't want the movie theater experience to stop. I know a lot of people are saying the sky's falling in Hollywood and everything's changing. I think they're still going to be there, especially for these movies. But I think you're right. Contracts, agents, celebrities, the big-time stars, they're watching this case very, very, very carefully. And we'll continue to watch it as well. I want to switch now to another high-profile lawsuit that's going on, and this one has to do with an upcoming movie called Jackass Forever. That's right. They're back. And I talked to you guys off camera about whether or not you watched it, and I don't think either of you were a fan, but I gotta say, I am a fan. I enjoy these. It's exactly what you think it is if you haven't seen it, just as juvenile, outrageous, and ridiculous as it could be. But this one, the lawsuit here is interesting because it's with BAM. Viva La Bam is suing Paramount and a lot of other folks involved with the movie, including Johnny Knoxville. He was taken out of this movie because he signed a contract that had to do with wellness, right? And we know that his troubles with addiction, highly publicized, and the gloves are off. They're saying they actually stole some of his ideas. They filmed this movie without him. He's not getting any of the cut of the profits. Rebecca, let's start with you. Who you got?
I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, I don't want to see anyone affected on their journey to try to better themselves and like deal with an illness like addiction. Like, it's a really difficult thing. So, I just for that reason, I have to be on Bam's side. But on the other side, if he signed the contract and didn't run it past an attorney, that's on him. But they also don't have to steal his ideas and, and then not credit him or whatever. So it's a really difficult thing.
That's where it gets tricky, yeah, because at first glance you're like, okay, well, they're looking out for his well-being. He's not suitable to be on the set. That he broke the conditions.
Yeah, but they're not looking out for his well-being. You know what I mean? Like, they're if they were looking out for his well-being, the clause would be something like, if you test positive for some sort of substance, then we will bring in somebody to help you with that, as opposed to we will fire you and take away your ability to make a living. So it's not really about his wellness at that point. Do you know what I mean?
Ty, what do you think?
I have to echo a lot of what Rebecca's saying, because it's like,
you're supposed to argue with me, Ty.
I know I'm supposed to argue with you, but it's just a matter of like, when your contract says, oh, if you're caught doing this thing, you're just going to be fired, like that comes off a little bit threatening. And, this is a guy, like you said, who's battling addiction, which is a tough battle. Addiction is a pretty heavy problem within my family line, but it's another thing of, like you mentioned, the contract, he signed it and he didn't run it by a lawyer. That's kind of his fault too. So it's really hard to take sides on both accounts,
Yeah, and hey, listen, talking about that cast, the Jackass cast, a lot of them have overcome their addictions, and their argument is we didn't want that on the set. We wanted this to be, kind of a clean experience for them. So I don't know. I see both sides. I'll be watching this play out, and obviously, we want to know your thoughts. What do you think? It's clearly not as black and white as a lot of people are making it. Okay, let's move on because, hey, as much as there's lawsuits happening out there in Hollywood, there's also lots of casting announcements. And this gets people excited for upcoming movies and TV shows because now you get to see some of the actors that will be stepping in some famous roles. So there's some pretty high-profile ones. Ty, let's start with you because Idris Elba has signed on as Knuckles in the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That's right. There's going to be a sequel. What do you think of this? Because to me, I think this is pretty inspired casting.
See, this is where I feel like the outsider in this conversation because, like, I'm so ingrained into video games to where...
Sonic's a video game. That's why I started.
I know. I know I should be excited for this sort of thing, but there's a part of me that's like, why didn't you guys... And this goes for the first Sonic movie as well. Why didn't you guys just get the voice actors who are currently doing those characters instead of these comedians and celebrities and other actors? Like,
so we're a purist here.
I mean, that's where I'm coming from. Like, if I was to get a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, or if I was making one, I would want to get Travis Willingham or one of the other previous actors who may still be in business, you know? And if you can't get such a guy, well then, yeah, I understand. But this... It kind of feels a little more like, oh, we want the star power.
That's exactly what it is. But on the same token, did you watch the first one? Because listen, they had Jim Carrey in there as Dr. Robotnik, and I thought he nailed it. I thought, so why not mix it up for a live action movie? Did you see the first one?
I admittedly did not see the first one. I have some problems with the first one just from like the trailers, the way it was marketed, how they shut down the animation studio that fixed Sonic's design, which I thought was kind of messed up.
I have to say, though, you have to admit, after they released that first trailer and everybody tore it apart, and then they spent all that money to fix the whole movie, you've got to give them credit for that. For actually being like, no, we messed it up. We'll fix it. And then, okay, and I did see the movie. I didn't have a lot of expectations, except for James Marsden looking handsome, which I was not disappointed.
Oh, and look out, Tom Holland. He's a new celebrity.
Well, don't get me started on Idris Elba, too. But anyway, it was a great, I don't want to call it a great movie. It was a great time. I had a lot of fun. Yeah. It was very fun. I was pleasantly surprised.
So you're in for Idris Elba? You're excited for that?
I'm in for anything. I think that like I said, I have no expectations for this franchise, although I guess I do a little bit more now that the first movie was actually good. But hey, maybe they see something I do not. Didn't know Knuckles had that kind of a vibe, that raw sexuality, vibe. But hey, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
I just hope that they don't make anyone floss in this movie.
Oh well. Never say never.
No.
Okay, this one's interesting to me because, growing up, I loved those Addams Family movies, the live action movies. So when they were doing the animated films recently, and there's another one coming out in just a few weeks' time, I was like, no, I really enjoy them as live action. Well, get ready because Netflix is putting out a live action Addams Family focused on the Wednesday character, done by Tim Burton, which I think if there's a property made for a director, it's this one. So there's some casting announcements that are going out. The one that I want you guys to chime in on is for Morticia, which, again, I think is actually kind of inspired. It's Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia. Ty, I'll start with you again.
I mean, like, I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is good for really any kind of role, almost. I haven't seen a lot of her stuff, admittedly, but I thought she was amazing in Chicago, and just in, like, facial structure, I can see her passing off as Morticia.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what she looks like with costuming and makeup on.
Yeah, no, I think so, too. And by the way, if you're wondering who does the voice in those animated movies, it's Charlize Theron, who I thought also might have been an inspired casting to do live action, but obviously they're going a different route here. Rebecca, what about you? Were you an Addams Family fan? And if so, what do you think of this Morticia?
I don't know if I'd call myself a fan. I did watch like the 60s series a little bit. And I saw the movies when I was a kid. I think this casting is interesting, but it's not really about who's playing Morticia and Gomez. It's how their chemistry is together. So that's what I look forward to seeing, because you can't have one without the other.
No.
Have they cast Gomez yet?
They did. The name is
Luis Guzman.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you would know him. The name might. I mean, he's been in a lot of things, and I'm interested in that as well. There's been a lot of different actors that have taken on Gomez. Some of them have worked, some of them have not. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting property though for Netflix, especially with Tim Burton on board.
Yeah, I mean, it might be I haven't watched a Tim Burton anything in a really long time, just because I'm like, this again? But this is the one time this again makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was actually shocked that he never touched that property before.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of properties, man, everyone's been waiting for this one to be rebooted, to be redone after the disastrous 2010 big screen outing of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Man, that was problematic. M. Night Shyamalan dropped the ball, and a lot of it had to do with the casting. There's a term in Hollywood called whitewashing. Not the case this time, because now there is going to be a new movie coming out. They're looking to reinvigorate it. M. Night Shyamalan is not associated with it, so don't worry. But yeah, we're not going to know the names of this cast, but I think culturally diverse. I mean, looking at the photos next to the characters, it looks like it all kind of makes a bit of sense. Ty, you had a bit of a reaction. Let's start with you on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Just the whole production of this show has been a mess from what I've seen. Like, if I recall correctly, the creators got into a fight with Netflix about how they wanted to go about this.
They did.
And creative differences, they ended up leaving the project. If I was Netflix, I would have canned it. I would have canned it because apparently they're coming out with a new animated one. Am I correct on that?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And the original animated is what people love. They hold that as almost like their holy grail. Don't mess with that original animated.
Exactly. And like, I'm somebody who I've seen a couple episodes of Avatar and I didn't think anything of it, but I know why people love it so much. And you've already done a live action thing before. It did not work out great. What is so bad about just staying animated and keeping that visual style? That's what I'd like to know about this whole thing.
When they get the live action right, it works. Rebecca, what about you? How important is this casting to get it right?
I mean, obviously, it would have been important the first time, but once you've seen a bad version of something, the spotlight's even more on them to get it right. But I feel like as long as they cast, some talented, culturally appropriate unknowns, and pronounce the names right, they'll be fine.
Yeah, that was another problem, man. Yeah. Let's just forget that other movie happened. But let's not forget that there's lots of other castings that everyone's kind of excited about. I want to know if you have any on your radars. I'm still waiting, and obviously there's no news about a new X-Men movie, but ever since Disney took over Fox, I've been kind of waiting for it. And I've got my thinking cap on for who should be the next Wolverine, because Hugh Jackman, how do you replace Hugh Jackman? Pretty big task. Rebecca, do you have any thoughts of who should take on that role, or any other castings you're looking forward to?
No, I do not.
No.
No, maybe an aged down Hugh Jackman. I really don't know.
Who could do it? It's going to be...
I have no idea.
Shia LaBeouf.
No, hard pass.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. No, he was actually, there was a lot of momentum prior to, there's lots of stuff about him in the news and problematic
I don't even
things.
need hard pass.
Okay,
next.
Yeah. I'm with you. Ty, what do you think? Is there anybody else you're waiting to get casted, or any Wolverine thoughts?
I mean, I don't know. Tom Holland's in just about everything these days, isn't he?
He's not Wolverine. He's
Spider-Man. Okay, Wolverine should have hair on his chest. He should not look like Tom Holland. And I like Tom Holland.
No. I don't know. I think Tom Hardy could be a good Wolverine.
But he's already a thing. He's Venom.
I know, he's already a thing. He's already Max, he's already Bane, and a bunch of other stuff.
He's Venom, so he can't.
Or Venom,
he's already
too,
there.
yeah. I totally forgot about Venom. Like, I wiped that movie clean out of my mind.
We'll get it back because the second one's coming out. It got a little delayed, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. They're supposed to have Carnage in that one, right?
Of course.
Maybe that'll be enough for me to go see it.
Anytime they cast a superhero or someone from the comics, it's always a big deal, but... Wolverine's the one I got my finger on. Okay, so I want to know what everyone out there...
Oh, here, I have a prediction, though.
Oh.
No one will like it until they see it, and then they'll love it.
Yeah. Ben Affleck as Batman, I was hard passing, and then I was like, no, it works. It works.
And when everybody was jumping on the hate bandwagon for that one, I was like, oh my God, he's Bruce Wayne. I don't know how are you not seeing this?
He's a good Bruce Wayne, but as a Batman... Not so much. At least when you
I don't
compare
know
him
why
to,
the
like,
directors
Keaton.
fine. Yes, fine. But I don't understand why the directors keep making these voices happen. The voices really take me out of it. And it started with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
You mean the deep throat, I'm Batman.
I'm
like that.
Rachel! Yes.
Rachel, where are the other drugs going?
Yeah.
Martha.
Swear to me!
Anyway.
Yeah.
Your audio editor is going to have a blast with that one.
He needs
be like,
I'm so
oh,
sorry.
my headphones.
He needs a little lemon tea. Batman does. Okay, I want to know what everyone else out there thinks about all these casting choices, and if there's anything that you think is coming up that we should put on our radar. Drop it in the comments. Rebecca, Ty, stay right there. We got to go beyond the list. All right, Ty and Rebecca, what I've done is I've dug deep in the vast archives of WatchMojo, and I pulled out a top 10 list, and I want you to help me go behind, meaning opinions. Does it still hold up? Or your thoughts? Have you seen any of these entries? Any that shouldn't be on there that you think should be on there? Do not hold back. And today, man, this is a topic near and dear to my heart because I'm a watcher of all the movies. So this is top 10 movies everyone should see at least once, right? Everyone should. You always hear it. People always have those movies. You're like, hey, you haven't seen this? You should see it. Everyone, you got to see it. So be honest. When we go through the list, you tell me if you've seen it. So what does this mean? Well, they're considered classics. They've impacted pop culture. They've been innovative, and they're just plain interesting. All right, you tell me if they hold up. Number 10. We're starting on a bad note because, admittedly, I haven't seen it, and I know I just hype myself up as the movie guy.
Dude, you say you're starting on a bad note, like you're in for a ride of disappointment, man.
on your end.
On my end, yes.
Okay, well, so I guess, Ty, you haven't seen Seven Samurai, 1954. I know the movie, and honestly, I had to go back. I'm like, I must have seen it, and I haven't seen it. But it's been very influential. It's about, one man overcoming the odds, taking on so many. Ty, you haven't seen it, but have you heard?
I mean, I know of it. I know of it, and I know Bug's Life was based on that supposedly.
Yeah. No, it was.
And my roommate, he did watch it after we saw a samurai video game come out last summer, Ghost of Tsushima. Highly recommend you get the game if you have PlayStation. Must play. But anyways, after playing through that, he was inspired to go and watch that movie himself. But, oh man, you tell me the runtime is 3.5 hours? Oh,
I was gonna get
that's so hard for me to just sit there. And I know that there's an intermission, so you can easily just stop the movie, go do something, and come back to it another day or whatever. Yep. But it's still it's a movie, and I gotta split it up myself.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for a lot of people when it comes to runtimes.
Yeah.
Rebecca, what about you? Seven Samurai, was that on your watch list at some point?
No, sorry.
Hey, but if you like that genre, if anyone out there likes that genre, apparently this is the one to see, as Ty's roommate.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have nothing bad to say about it, obviously, but it's never been a genre I've been particularly drawn to. But I will say this. I have this poster that has the top 100 movies of all time. I don't know based on what. I don't know. I don't think it's the AFI list or whatever. But obviously this is on there.
Yeah.
I haven't scratched it off yet, but because I have, and you scratch them off like lottery tickets once you've seen it. Like they have, it's a scratch off poster. It's cool.
That's good.
But because I have that, it's kind of like an impetus that one day you should see this or your poster will remain unfinished. So, one day.
Yeah. Okay.
I gotta get myself
when
one
I have
of those.
an
They
extra
should make it
3.5
like
hours.
like an advent calendar. Every time you watch a movie, you get like a chocolate or something.
Ooh.
Okay.
That chocolate will be moldy by the time you get done with it.
Number 9, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, I've seen this. I think I've seen it more than once.
This is
1970.
a result of the poster that I watched this.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
great. And what did you think, Rebecca?
What did I think? It's heavy. It's really heavy.
Yeah, but it deserved to be on that list, I think.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Friendship, comedy, drama. It's got Jack Nicholson.
I don't know if anybody needs to see it.
Okay. Ty?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie myself, admittedly. I know this is another one of those classics.
We're going to be hearing that a lot today.
Yeah, it's gonna be several more entries. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But it's one of those movies where it's like you have to be in a very specific mood to watch something that serious. You know?
Yeah. I think a lot of
Yeah,
movies...
I mean, that's why I haven't seen Schindler's List yet. Because I feel like there's a mindset you really need to be
don't
in.
skip ahead.
Oh, is that on this? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just assuming, actually.
Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry.
Okay, well,
Sorry,
it's-
spoilers.
Speaking of heavy, our next entry is not. So I'm expecting you have both to have seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail because I loved it and I've seen it multiple times. Ty?
I have a thing to say.
Okay,
No,
so
can I
Rebecca,
talk?
you start. Yeah, Rebecca, start.
Not only have I seen it, I have reenacted it on video
Oh,
for a school project
what?
in which I played King Arthur.
This is amazing. This is
Wow,
amazing news.
the one thing that Rebecca and I have in common, somewhat. Not even just the fact that we like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I used to teach a voice acting club when I was in college, and every end of the semester we would get together and do a table read of a movie. We did Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I was King Arthur.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing to have in common.
This is the
know.
greatest.
One of the most specific, ultra-specific things to have in common.
I will say, in these days, I was not nearly as good at memorizing lines as I am today. So there's a lot of laughing and looking at papers and not really getting the scene right. But anyway.
Hey, you guys can both feel free to drop that in our share doc and we can share videos of it if
Can't
you
help you.
want.
It's on VHS.
Oh.
Also, we didn't record ours. It was always
Sure.
us
Okay,
just
good.
doing it in person and have fun. So
Oh, okay. Well, hey, listen. Our next entry is Psycho. I mean, if you like horror movies, this one influenced the genre tenfold. I mean, you must have seen Psycho, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. And actually, I would probably drop it, being a horror connoisseur, I would probably drop it towards the beginning of this list. Ty, Psycho, right? The shower scene, everything, the music.
Psycho, I had never seen before until 2015 when I took a horrors class in college. And I was thinking, like, okay, there's got to be some level of cheese to this insanely old movie, right? Like, the shower scene has been parodied to death by Looney Tunes, by several other TV shows and movies, right?
Simpsons.
But then I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and there's one particular scene where things just kind of happen without warning, and it, no joke, made me jump out of my seat. I'm like, no movie has ever made me do that, not even a horror movie.
Yeah,
Like, there are horror movies that make me reel back and kind of, like, tighten in my seat, but nothing like that. So even if you're not a horror fan, you still need to see it. It's pretty important.
Yeah, change the game, Rebecca, right?
100%. I would say that a lot of this list, one of the main reasons you should see them is not only to see them, but also just because there are so many conversations you can't be a part of if you've not seen it.
That's what I mean.
And,
people
yeah.
go, "Have you seen this? You don't know that reference? You don't know?" Yeah.
Exactly. I love Psycho. Psycho's great. I mean, we've had discussions internally a lot about Hitchcock movies and what his best movie is. And this one often gets kicked out of the top spot by committee. But
I know, but which takes it?
Vertigo.
Yeah,
I want to say. And I do love Vertigo, love Rear Window. You know which one I don't like? The Birds. I just watched that recently, and I was like, this movie's not that good. But anyway, well, maybe that I didn't like it. It's not good. Obviously, it's good. But love Psycho.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Just real quick, like it's funny you bring up Vertigo because that was one movie none of my professors touched on. None of them.
It's weird.
In my 5 to 6 years of being in college, nobody touched Vertigo.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
it's
what that
weird.
means. Number 6. I mean, everybody would teach this in film school.
A very specific mood movie, I would say.
This next one, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Mr. Stanley Kubrick. I mean, hello. And we talk about Psycho being parodied to death. I mean, this one gets parodied so much. I love it because I'm a film fan. Rebecca, you just said you have to be in a specific mood.
I've not ever been in the mood. I've never seen it.
Oh, you've never seen it? Okay, Ty,
no,
you've seen
it
this?
honestly looks really boring to me. I said that. I'm sorry. I think it is a movie everyone should see. I just haven't done it yet.
Okay.
I will.
Ty, it's sci-fi. It's so great.
I get that. I get that it's great. But man, was I bored watching it. Like, yeah. I
think I'm more about dialogue, and I feel like there's not enough dialogue in this movie. Again, haven't seen it, don't know this for a fact, but I feel like there really isn't because, it's like going through human history. So there's like, apes.
You're not
like
wrong.
Nothing.
You're not wrong.
And then there's like one guy on a spaceship and a robot who's like murderous, and then like some trippy drug scene, and then a big obelisk, and I don't even know. I think I'm more of a dialogue person.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm with her there. Like, I actually tried watching 2001 just because I did a paper on Kubrick, but I'm sitting there 10 minutes of these the cavemen, right? And I'm just like, I don't know, how am I going to write this and make it sound interesting? So I stopped, and I had to like rework the whole essay. And I ended up watching Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, and Doctor Strangelove instead. So I'd say 2001.
Hot take. I am
one?
not a Kubrick person. I said hot take. I'm not a Kubrick person at all.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you.
I am a Stephen King person, and I feel like you can either be a Stephen King person or a Stanley Kubrick person, and there's no in between.
Yeah.
The Shining. You guys have seen this?
No, I don't like the movie.
What?
Like, I'm with Stephen King on how good the movie The Shining is. I prefer. This is my hottest take. This is the hottest take you will hear out of Rebecca Brayton. I prefer the TV miniseries starring Rebecca De Mornay and Steven Weber of The Shining over the Stanley Kubrick 1980 movie.
Yes.
Because it actually tells the story. Good. But anyway.
I'm moving on.
Yeah, you should probably do that. I'm going to get fired.
Okay, number 5. Number 5 is Schindler's List. Rebecca, you mentioned this.
I did.
An incredibly powerful movie. This is a movie that I saw in school, right? This is how impactful and important of a movie it is. All about humanity and its worst and also its best at times. Heavy stuff. You guys have seen. Did you watch it in school too?
No, I didn't. I haven't seen it. I did watch Life is Beautiful. If we're talking Holocaust movies, I did see that in school because it came out when I was in school. But no, I like I said, Schindler's List is just one of those movies that I need to like psych myself up for, and I just haven't felt like I've been in a headspace that could handle it ever.
Yeah, hey, you're not wrong. Ty?
No, I know. I will. I'm honestly like I'm as close as I've ever been to watching it. And I full respect. I think it's a masterpiece, presumably. Anyway, no disrespect at all.
No. Steven Spielberg knocks it out of the park with all the themes and his playing with colors and it's great. Ty, you've seen this, right? Schindler's List?
No, I haven't actually. Oh. I know. It's another one of those movies where you think, oh, you went to film school, you had to have seen it, right? No, not at all. The only when it comes to World War II Holocaust movies, the few that I've seen are The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. That was one I saw in high school. That one really hit hard. And then, what was it? I think Tom Cruise was in it.
Oh, Born on... No, that's not...
The fourth.
No, that's
No,
not,
that was
that's
a
not
Viet-
World War
that was
II.
a Viet- yeah,
Oh,
that was
it's
a
not?
Vietnam.
Okay, my
Isn't
bad.
that Korea? Or is it Vietnam?
Oh, it's called Valkyrie. Yeah, that's not a World War II.
Oh, that one.
Valkyrie. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. Never mind then. So yeah, I think the only ones that have like sprung to mind for World War II stuff was Boy in Striped Pajamas. Anything outside of that, it's like maybe a TV episode or something on it. But it's definitely a movie I want to see at some point.
Number 4, The Shawshank Redemption. This is on TV like every month. So, I mean, even if you never saw the full thing, you must have seen parts of it. I think we can all agree that it's a great movie. It ends up on those, well, WatchMojo's top 10 lists, including this one, but of impactful, epic moments, right? That ending. I'll skip ahead to number 3.
What?
Which is, oh,
How are you
sorry.
skipping Shawshank? How dare you?
Well, I thought
I
we
just
were
said
all
I was a Stephen King person.
I thought we were all in agreement that it's just great and it deserves to be on the list.
It
Am
is
I wrong?
great. I also, okay, hot take. I prefer the Green Mile, but I am objectively wrong. I will admit. But I love the Shawshank Redemption. It's great.
Yes. Okay.
I've-
Ty?
Depends if you want to be uplifted or not.
Yeah. I've seen parts of it because it was on TV so much. I'm pretty sure I have a copy of it still sitting on my shelf, but I've never sat down to actually watch it from start to finish. But I still get all of the references. Like, I was
Get busy living or get busy dying.
yeah, like I've seen the references through Robot Chicken. There's a Lego video game that references Shawshank several times. Yeah, it's weird. Lego City Undercover, they actually have Shawshank Redemption references. I'm like, this should not be a kid's game.
Lego references everything, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to skip ahead is because one of my favorite movies of all time is number 3, and that would be Goodfellas. I am such a sucker for these mafia movies, and this one's just, man, it's if not, actually, you know what? I don't want to ruin the number 2, but I think this is probably the best of the mafia films, and that might be a hot take.
I haven't seen Goodfellas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, put it on your list. It is the greatest gangster film. Rebecca, do you like that genre?
I'm not crazy about gangster films,
I will watch them all day, every day.
but I've not seen Goodfellas either.
Which
is Goodfellas, I would say, is like an outlier. Like a lot of the movies I haven't seen. Actually, that's not true. I haven't seen a lot of movies I should have seen. Like I've only seen the first Indiana Jones movie, which makes no sense, and I only did that for work. So, and like if you know my taste in movies, you would think like you've seen all these movies. But anyway, so Goodfellas is an outlier, I think, for me. Definitely on the list.
Number 2. Okay, Ty, you have anything to add?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, the only Joe Pesci movie I've ever seen was
say
my
Home Alone.
cousin Vinny.
Wait, you haven't seen Home Alone?
No, wait, yeah, I've seen Home Alone. I keep forgetting he's in that one.
Same year as Goodfellas.
Well,
what a
I'm not
knocking
huge
out of the
Home
park
Alone-
year.
I'm not a huge Home Alone fan. That's another
Well,
franchise
you're just
where
objectively wrong.
clearly. But when I was a kid, I just like, if it's not animated, I want nothing to do with it. Home Alone was not animated, so I wanted nothing to do with it. I know.
But it
I
was like a
weird
cartoon
child.
in live action.
Yeah. It might as well have been animated. Okay, number 2 is The Godfather. This is, I may have upset people by saying that I think Goodfellas is better than The Godfather. Godfather is amazing. And even The Godfather 2, I think even equals the first one.
I think we frequently place Godfather 2 above the first one.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Ty, you Godfather fan?
I haven't seen Godfather either. I told you guys, prepare to be in a ride for disappointment, but it's another movie that's been on my list forever of like, I need to watch this at some point, but I don't think any of the streaming services want me to see it, so I'm like, all right, well.
To quote Jerry Seinfeld, and you want to be my latex salesman.
Well, listen, they're also long movies. So if we talked about those
I
run
know.
times not being your friend, well, that one's not. All right, we're at number one. We're at number one. We'll get to some that maybe didn't make the list afterwards, but we got to mention number one, which I don't know. I can't disagree with this. I think WatchMojo did it nicely.
I'm surprised this is number one. Sorry to interrupt. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised. I don't disagree, but I'm surprised.
Okay, well, the WatchMojo lady herself is disagreeing with The Wizard of Oz being the number one movie you should see at least once in your lifetime. Ty?
I mean, it's a good pick. It's not one that I would have said should be number one, but it's definitely one of those movies that has an important place in film history. Because it was one of the earliest live action movies to be in color, correct?
Of course. Yeah, that was a big thing.
So it really showed like, oh my goodness, look at what we can do with all the color, you know?
But
after
not just
being
that.
stuck in black and white for so long, you know?
But this was a cultural touchdown to do with the characters and the songs.
Yeah, exactly. When you hear "We're off to see the wizard" the first time ever, you never forget that.
Yeah,
you just don't. It's impossible.
Or even when the world turns the color for the first time. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I will say, sorry, and if you're a Stephen King person, which I have mentioned thrice now that I am, if you read the Dark Tower series, which is his like magnum opus long book series, a lot of themes and references to the Wizard of Oz come into play there too. So like, again, it's one of those movies where if you haven't seen it, there's so many references you just aren't getting.
The influence is vast. Okay.
Yes.
I want to get quickly your thoughts on movies that didn't make the list. I have a few, and I was getting very angry until I saw the honorable mentions, which has it in there at least. That would have been The Matrix, Star Wars. In the honorable mentions, it's the first one. I would agree with that. They also have Citizen Kane, which a lot of people say is like the best movie of all time.
I like Citizen Kane. I'm the one.
You're that one.
I'm the one. I think it's a great movie.
If she's the one, then I'm the two, because to me, Citizen Kane should have been number one.
Oh wow, okay.
It's just such an important screenplay.
No, it's good. Hey, listen, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I think it gets overhyped.
I don't think you can overhype a movie that started everything.
Pretty much.
Do you know what I mean? Like you might not enjoy it as much today as you would have if you had seen it when it first came out, and like I just hit something. Within the context of, like that time period in movie history. But like, you know how sometimes you watch a movie that like started the cliches and you're like, oh, this movie's so cliche, but it wasn't cliche then because there was no cliche until this movie came along and made it popular. And that's kind of where I feel like Citizen Kane sits.
Am I wrong about The Matrix? Do you guys? I think that's a movie that everyone should see.
Sure.
Star Wars?
It has references. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like we need to make a case for anybody needing to see Star Wars. Like people are seeing it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think so.
Star Wars, though, like you can see in one form or another, whether it was Family Guy parodying the whole thing, if it was Lego Star Wars, it's just something that's so easy to watch. But the sad thing is that the original Star Wars, A New Hope, Episode 4, right? You can't see the original thing anymore. Your only option is to watch the one with the pretty garbage CGI, which to me is not right. You should give access to both versions for the audiences.
Where they fix the CGI.
They fix the CGI, and there's that weird edit of Harrison Ford suddenly going up and stepping on Jabba's tail or whatever. I'm like, what is this? This ain't the original. You're trying to tell me this was 1977? No. You switched it.
Okay, well, we won't put that on our honorable mentions, but the original. All right, so I want to know what everyone else out there thinks. Be honest in the comments. Give us a number. How many of those did you see, and how many are you looking forward to seeing, if any?
And why should Back to the Future have been on this list?
I
forgot. That Ghostbusters.
I mean, yes, Ghostbusters. I mean, I wouldn't say Ghostbusters should be on this list, but
honorable mention
I
at
stand.
the least.
Hey, Back to the Future, I think there's a big case for that. I will not argue. And speaking of arguing, thank you guys for all your arguments today and your pleasant conversations. Ty, Rebecca, Thank you so much. It's now time for my Mr. Hollywood Mojo Chat of the Week. All right, trust me, it is an exciting time to be a professional wrestling fan. And trust me, I am so excited today to be chatting with one of the industry's shining stars. He is the absolute Mr. Ricky Starks is with us today. Ricky, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And like I said, it is an exciting time to be a fan of professional wrestling. I've been a lifelong fan. I'm getting excited with everything that's happening in the industry. And I want to talk about what's happening. But first, I want to go back. I want to learn about some of your inspirations. And maybe I'm just assuming here, but I'm assuming that you were a fan growing up. Take us back to New Orleans. You were a kid. Who were you watching? Who influenced you? Take us back.
Well, so I my brother and my sister used to watch wrestling all the time. So I was one to, my brother would practice his wrestling moves on me. But it wasn't until that I got older, like around 6 or 7, that's when my memory starts to kick in, that I was watching it heavily. I was a big fan of The Undertaker, of Mankind, and The Rock. Those were my 3 favorites. So just watching them. And then as I got older, I had more access to other wrestling from the UK, from Mexico, from Japan. And it kind of just started to go from there. So from a childhood, those were the main 3 that I loved. I didn't care about anyone else. Those were my 3 always.
You weren't an NWO fan? You weren't a WCW guy?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't like WCW. In fact, when there was a precursor to the network actually, and it was like called WWE 24/7, and they would have the Monday Night Wars, right?
Yeah.
I tried to watch WCW matches, the Nitro matches. They're terrible. I couldn't get through them. It's so boring and mundane that, even as a kid, I didn't watch WCW. But around 2000, I would flip back and forth between some of the Nitro and WWF, because on Nitro, I know that I just said I didn't watch WCW, but my brother did. So I would watch it with him. And he was a huge Booker T fan. He loved Booker T. So I, by proxy, became a Booker T fan as well. And so that was the main person that I watched on the Nitro side. But man, other than that, I was not watching WCW.
All right. We won't clue Eric Bischoff into this. Listen, Ricky, you mentioned a few wrestlers that you were fans of. Did you take any other styles? Did they influence your in-ring work? Because man, what I love about you is you're smooth like butter outside the ring and then in the ring. And I'm wondering if you kind of took your wrestling style from anybody in particular.
I think not on purpose. Actually, there's only one person I did, and that was Undertaker. I did borrow from Undertaker because I liked how Undertaker wrestled and the things that he did, his movements, they were so intricate to me. So that was the main person that I purposely did. A lot of people think I tried to mimic myself after The Rock or whatnot. That's actually not the case. If anybody, it was The Undertaker, which you wouldn't expect watching me wrestle.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. A surprise, but it's pretty cool. All right, let's talk about it. AEW, man, they're lighting the industry on fire here, which is great. Like I said, as a fan, we got this new show coming up, Rampage. AEW Dynamite still going strong. The rumor mill's through the roof. We're looking at possibly new people coming in. The landscape is changing. Where does Ricky Starks fit in all this, or where do you want to fit in all this?
At the top. I still fit in at the top either way, because my mindset on it is that regardless who comes in, right, and regardless of what they have done, I'm not comparing myself to them. I'm only trying to compare myself to myself and make my own lane. So I can't be worried about who comes in and what they're going to be doing or this and that. The only thing that I can control is the quality that I give out. And so if I'm going to be wrestling these people that are supposedly coming in or years from now or whatever the case may be, I'm still going to be me. And it's still going to be, they're going to have to step up to my expectations. It's not going to be the other way around. So when they get in the ring with me, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be how it used to be. Like, I'm Ricky Starks. You come into my home, and there's going to be that level of respect for each of us. But yeah, I'm not about to lower myself, or, you know, some guys are like very, very timid when it comes to certain people coming in. I don't care about that. Let's make it happen. If that's what is going to happen, if we're going to get to the bare bones of it, let's make it happen. Me and this person, or me and this person.
Pie in the sky, Ricky Starks versus who? And don't stick to just AEW. It could be anybody from other feds that you might want to have a dream match with. And I'm not talking about this is in the books, but I'm just saying pie in the sky. Who would Ricky Starks absolutely love to get in the ring with, have a program with, and mix it up?
I definitely would be happy to get in there with Naito or Okada. I think that would be very great. Yeah, those are the main two off the top of my head.
I'm buying a ticket. You sold. I'm sold. Okay, Team Taz. Team Taz. This is where you are now. You're the FTW champion. It's not really sanctioned. What does that stand for, by the way? FTW.
It's. Are you married?
I am.
Okay, so it stands for the wife. It stands for the world as well. And you know, it stands for just being me.
What's it like working with Taz? Taz's been around for a long time, and I think he's pretty underrated when it comes to his in-ring work. You know, if you watch some of his early stuff in ECW, and man, when he debuted in WWE against Kurt Angle, that was a hot match. Yeah. What I mean, is he giving you knowledge, or is this just kind of like a?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if Taz wasn't giving me any type of advice, he'd be useless. So there's times where he talks to me about business. He talks to me about promo stuff. He talks to me about the in-ring stuff, or he even helps me on commentary. So he's very valuable in that sense, where he will help you out, especially if you ask. And I don't think I'll be straight with you. Me personally, I wouldn't like this partnership if I didn't have that. You get what I'm saying? Like, it'd be weird to have someone not really help you out. So I'm very thankful that he is very forthcoming with the knowledge that he has, because he has a plethora of knowledge to give out. It's just a matter of asking. If you don't ask, you won't know.
Yeah, and speaking of people with a plethora of knowledge, the Stinger, the Icon, the Phenom. I mean, you fought Sting. How cool is that? It was for those that don't follow wrestling now, there was something called a cinematic match that takes place, and it's kind of this pre-tape, but it's made to look almost like movie-esque, and there's a lot of what I want to say tender loving care that goes into the storytelling of that. Tell me about that experience, because man, you said you didn't watch WCW, but you had to know who Sting was, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I knew who Sting was. Even though I didn't watch WCW, I followed it close. Even though I didn't follow it closely, I still was aware of what was going on for the main storylines. And so Sting was just this cool. He just was cool. He just was an awesome dude. Obviously, I liked Undertaker more than him, but the cinematic match was interesting in the fact that, one, that was my first cinematic match, and two, that was Sting's first match in 6 years.
Yeah.
So there was a lot on the line for that. And I think coming away from it, especially having to, obviously for people who don't know, wrestling is filmed in a live setting, obviously. This was pre-tape, so you would probably think, well, it's not that much of a difference, but it kind of is, because you have more control for certain things. And especially when it comes to how you want angles shot and this and that, there's a benefit to it. So the cinematic aspect of it comes into play, especially for someone like me or someone like Sting, or, you know, et cetera, that has that mindset and how they see certain things happening. So I personally loved the match. It was insane to think about that I was wrestling Sting, and it's still crazy to say out loud. Me personally, I think it was the best cinematic match there was.
Yeah.
In any company. I don't care, whatever. If any company has done a cinematic match, it doesn't touch the cinematic match that I did.
How long did it take to prep for that? Were you guys working on that a long time, or is this something that came naturally, or the day of? Were you?
It was the day of. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That stuff happened literally the day of, and it just went. I don't like to overexpose certain things, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of the cinematic match, obviously you have to get your production crew in there. But everything, once we started, it just started to flow from there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. If anybody out there hasn't checked it out, go check it out. All right, we talked about Rampage coming up. We Dynamite's going strong. AEW's got all kinds of great pay-per-views. What's next for Ricky Starks? What can we look for?
Well, I can tell you that the FTW title, sanctioned or not sanctioned, it's still a title, and that will be. I'm going to try to defend that as much as possible because I want to prove a point. I want to prove that. First off, the title isn't making me. All right, I've already been made. So this is just extra toppings on a very beautiful Sunday. All right, that's what I am. I am a very beautiful Sunday. I have the best ingredients that you will find, and so I want to really make sure that this is exposed to people who aren't aware of what the FTW title is or its history. So I'm willing to go the full length and make sure that I'm defending this as much as possible, more than Cage ever did, and really just proving why I am absolute. That's the ultimate goal here.
Yeah, let's hope Brian Cage doesn't melt that Sunday. Okay. By the way, I loved. Hey, I just rewatched the where you had the band and Ricky.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, and then he destroyed the band members. That was amazing. All right, before I go, I do this with friends, with my other wrestling fans, and I always find this fun, and it always gets a bit of a heated debate over drinks. The Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. I think there's 4. What is there? Is there 4 of them on the mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me your top 4. I mean, you must have thought about this. All right. People must ask you. Yeah.
Sure.
And then we'll ask people to drop theirs in the comments. But let's hear Ricky Starks. Mount Rushmore, professional wrestling. Go.
My Mount Rushmore, with no personal bias. I'm thinking about a lot of things to include in this. First one would be Undertaker. Second one would be The Rock. Third one would be Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the fourth one's pretty hard. The fourth one's pretty hard. I think right now the fourth one would have to be John Cena.
Ooh, yeah. No Hogan.
No. Who cares about Hogan anymore? I don't.
Shots fired at the Hulkster. I agree with yours, but I got a feeling that some other people won't agree, and I can't wait to hear about their thoughts.
I love that.
Hey, you mentioned The Rock. People compare you to The Rock a lot. I see major differences. But one thing that I would like to see out of you, and I don't know if you have any aspirations to do this, I'm not your manager, but if you went into the acting world, I think with your charisma and your look, you could, I don't know, maybe you could give The Rock a run for his money. Is that something you?
Funny. I actually do. I am trying to step out into that because obviously I know I can't wrestle for life. My body just won't keep up. But yeah, man, I really want to try acting. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I at least just like to try.
Yeah, I think there's something with the rest. I mean, you're performing right in front of a crowd.
Yeah,
you're obviously, you have to take on these characters anyway. So there's something there that translates well. All right. Well, Ricky Starks, I won't keep you. I'm very happy that you gave time for me today. Enjoy yourself. Good luck with the FTW championship matches.
Thank you, my man. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Well, that's going to do it for another episode, everybody. I want to thank Ricky Starks. I want to thank Rebecca. I want to thank Ty for joining in on all the fun this week. Thank you, of course, for listening and watching. Make sure to drop your comments down below. I'm Mr. Hollywood. Till next time, I've been popping the culture.